Hey, how y'all doing? This is Hunt 919 Truth Sports coming to you. Another segment. Get right into it. The Colorado Buffs has lost another 1,000-yard running back for the third time in the last couple of weeks or whatever it is. And I want to get right into that. I recall on Uncle Neely's show when he was criticizing the running backs for leaving and saying that they didn't want to compete, et cetera, that it was running back by committee and that all the running backs ate, which, that's far from the truth. The leading rusher from last year, Dylan Edwards, only had 320 some odd yards total, and he'll probably get that if he starts in one or two games next year. And then, as you know, in my last video, I talked about the last two running backs who went on to other schools, Alton McCaskill and Savion Wilkerson, who both didn't play a lot. Savion did score a touchdown in the beginning parts of the season with CU, but after that, he was almost non-existent. And as we know, Alton play was so limited that he eventually asked and got and received a red shirt because he obviously saw some type of writing on the wall. And then I also talked about, Dylan Edwards, who left as well, and he was supposed to be the projected starter. And he was also the leading rusher from last year with 320 some odd yards. And, his best game was at the beginning of the season against TCU. Then after that, there was a drastic fall off from him and his production. And he ended up leaving as well, and he's known Coach Prime since he was 9. And now you had a kid named Rashad Amos, who looks like he's going to Ole Miss, and he may be at Ole Miss by the time this comes out. Today is Saturday, so I don't know if it's official, but it looks like they're losing him to Ole Miss. And he was considered one of those dogs that Coach Prime liked and talked about. And I'm sure with the three losses of the three running backs that they had, they felt like with this kid coming in that it wouldn't hurt them too much. Well, too bad. Well, he ended up leaving as well. And last season, he played for Miami of Ohio, and he rushed for a little bit over 1,000 yards and had 13 touchdowns with 210 carries, which is a very good season. You want your running backs who normally, your starters to at least get 1,000 yards or close to it to consider it a productive season. For the team and for the running back. So now the kids that you have left is you have Micah Welch, which is the freshman that everybody likes and actually likes the way he runs too. But to me, he's just a little bit faster. Savion Wilkerson. So we'll see how that works out. Then you have Charlie. I don't want to mess up Charlie's last name. He was a walk-on, but he recently got a scholarship. So congratulations to him. I was happy for him because he runs hard. He kind of runs old school like I grew up watching. I forgot the kid from the played for the Washington Redskins back in the day. I can't think of that running back's name. He didn't wear mouthpiece or anything, but he kind of reminds me of him. And then you have a kid called Christian Serum. He was redshirted last year, so I don't know if he'll have any effect on the rotation this year. You have another guy named Brandon Hood, who's a 3-star guy that's coming in. We'll see what happens with him. Both of those guys, I can see them transferring next year. And then you have Dalen Hayden. He's this is a kid that everybody's excited about. He's coming from Ohio State. He's coming to Colorado after posting 663 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns in over the last 2 seasons. So I'm starting to wonder, do they really like him because of the school he went to, which is a name brand school, of course, a power school, or do they really think he can produce for them? So that's going to be interesting to see. So I'm sure between Michael Welch, the freshman who they like, and Dalen Hayden, Wiz and Charlie, that maybe that's going to be the rotation. Who's going to start? I have no idea. So it is what it is on that part. But I want to end this with a couple of questions. I'm starting to wonder. I want to ask, why are these running backs leaving? I don't want to keep hearing NIL and everybody does it. We don't care about everybody else. We're talking about the Colorado Buffs. That's what we care about right now. And don't keep giving me NILs because some of these guys don't have a lot of value. They didn't really produce in the last couple of years. So don't tell me, an NIL deal got them to move. And that's always a possibility, but let's think a little deeper than that. Is it the way? Do you think it's the way that Coach Prime runs his organization? I think that has a small part to do with it, but not a big part. And you'll see why when I get to it in a minute. Is it because they've seen all the previous running backs leave before them? Did that affect their decision making? Because as they're aware, Dylan Edwards to me was a big deal that he left, not just because he left, but it's how he left. He left unannounced, and he was announced as a projected starter, and they was creating plays around him. And he's known Coach Prime since he was 9. And for him to just get up and leave, that says something. That says a lot, actually. Is it because they don't see a good opportunity with the Buffs as far as the running backs room? That's very possible. Is it because that they know this is a pass-first offense and there's going to be very limited touches? And why did I say that? It's because they understand it's not just a pass-first offense. It's a Shador offense. Shador, of course, Coach Prime is his dad, as all of them know. But they also have stated, at least Colorado has stated, or Coach Prime, that they want to go after that Heisman Trophy, which is nothing wrong with. But understand, when you go after the Heisman Trophy, that comes along with wins and it comes with a lot of yards. And maybe these running backs are understanding that they're going to do everything they can to get those passing yards, and that they're going to probably suffer the most. The receivers will be, they'll feel good, but the running backs is probably going to be the room that suffers the most. Or is it, and this is the last thing, and this is the thing I'm starting to think about, because we keep putting a lot of things on Coach Sanders, which we should, because he's the head coach, but is it because of the Gary Harrell? Is it because of him they're leaving? Is it because they get into that room and they start talking and seeing what he knows and they don't like what he's producing? Is it something about him that they don't like, or they don't want to put their career in his hands? So that's something that we got to think about instead of constantly blaming Coach Prime, as well as myself. Sometimes we have to look at the position coaches. Coach Harrell, has lost a lot of running backs since he's been there. In the last 2 seasons, man, he's lost. At least he lost 3 this year. I think he lost a couple last year, but then he had some that didn't, 1 or 2 that didn't play at all last year. Smoke was in his senior year. He didn't play at all, as a running back. I think he got 1 carry at the most, if that. So maybe we need to start looking a little deeper into the running backs room, because I've been talking about it since last year, but we can't keep saying this is what all the kids are doing. Eventually, some of these kids got to stick somewhere, and they don't look like they're sticking at Colorado as far as the running backs room. So it's something to think about. The guys who normally leaves comments in my comment section, we go back and forth, and it's all good conversation. So I'm kind of curious to know what they're going to say as well. But what's going on with this running backs room? The Buffs have lost another 1,000-yard runner from last year, Rashad Amos, who's going to Ole Miss, or looks like he's going to Ole Miss. And I like to wish him well, even though I don't know anything much about him. I did read a little bit up on him, but I really, didn't see him a whole lot to really start rooting for him. So I would just wish him the best of luck. And Ole Miss always has a good program going over there. So we'll see what happens. So I appreciate you listening. It's been Hunt 919 Truth Sports. Ride with me. It's been Hunt 919 Truth Sports. Ride with me.